if you could speak a message to your fellow countrymen, to the Russian citizens, what would you tell them?
Wake up. If I was in Kiev, if I was in Kharkiv in front of Ukrainian citizens, I would stand on my knees and I would simply say, forgive us. Please forgive us.
The war in Ukraine has been raging for more than 3 weeks now after Russian troops invaded the country at the end of February. The world looks to Ukraine and what is happening to the people there full of compassion. Meanwhile, extensive economic sanctions are hitting Russia and its citizens. There is little reliable information and insight about what is going on in Russia, as the country gets increasingly isolated and expression of one's opinion is strictly censored and sanctioned. While some Russians bravely demonstrate, others seem to downplay the situation in Ukraine or approve the government's actions. So what is the mood in the country like? Have the Russians become victims of their own government? Or are they even partly responsible for what is currently happening in Ukraine? What is everyday life like at the moment? Today's guest, Konstantin Samuilov, gives us first-hand information of how he is currently experiencing his country. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Zeitgenossen.online with today's guest, Konstantin Samuilov. Hey Konstantin, welcome on the show.
Hello, Henrik. Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here and thank you for having me.
Yeah. It's nice to have you here on the show. Konstantin, we need to introduce you briefly to our viewers and listeners. You are Russian. You were born and raised in Russia. You live in Moscow currently. And you are married and have 5 children, right?
Yes.
You working in the construction industry as an executive, and you have a YouTube channel called Russia Inside.
Inside Russia.
Inside Russia. What is it about?
Well, before I talk about the channel, let me give a little more detailed introduction. Not only I was born and raised in Russia, but I spent many years abroad. I lived in the USA for about 9 years. I worked there. I went to school in Russia and in the USA. Then I moved back to Russia back in 2004, and I landed at an executive job with a large international construction company, well, Russian-based. And YouTube is quite recent development of mine. It's about, well, initially I started it to spread the truth about Russia a couple years ago, because I felt like Russia was greatly misunderstood by many people, and there was little information about Russia that was real truthful, and I decided to show Russia through my own eyes. And this is how Inside Russia was born. And then, mostly entertaining, informational, until February 24th of this year, and everything changed.
Yeah, tell us a bit, how are you personally doing at the moment? How has your life changed in recent weeks? So, yeah, tell us a little bit about your everyday life at the moment.
I'm having worst and most difficult, most stressful weeks of my life. 3 last weeks have been absolutely horrendous. I have not experienced anything like this in my life. I can compare it. This is my second marriage. I was married once and I got divorced. That was bad. It was bad. It was a long time ago. And my dad passed away. That was extremely bad and very painful. But what I am going through right now does not compare to those sad events. It's much worse. Because back then I understood why these things happen. Okay. It was a misfortune, but that's how life works. This particular thing is, I see how my life, my country is being ruined right in front of me very fast. And I don't understand why, and I don't understand how it's possible. Okay, so not good.
And how are your wife and your children doing in this situation?
Wife is same as I am very fortunate to have my wife who shares my views with her. Not good. She's suffering. Children, there are 3 children that live with us right now. Couple kids, one is very grown up and another one lives in Maine in the USA. But the children who live with us, the teenage girls, 15 and 18, they taking it tough, not too terribly well. And we have 5-year-old, and he doesn't understand what's going on, but he's feeling everything. And he sees us upset, he sees us stressed out, and then it's affecting him as well. He started crying, he started acting, he started having nightmares, just it's really affecting. It's physical.
In one of your recent videos, you speak of an old Russia and a new Russia, and that the new Russia began on the 24th of February. What do you mean by that?
Everything changed. I already saw that happen. In August 1991, I was 16 years old, and Soviet Union, just one morning, we woke up and there was no Soviet Union anymore, and everything changed. And the situation was fantastic because all of a sudden we found ourselves in a new country, but with great perspectives, with great future. We found ourselves as a part of a global community, part of the world, and it was so unbelievably liberating. So it was fantastic. Right now we're having the same situation, only with cyan minus, but different, completely different, the opposite. The country that I lived in, that I knew very well, Russia, is no more. 24th of February, there was like a very visible line that changed everything. The new country started evolving, and it's been evolving right in front of my eyes. And I don't understand. I don't know this country. I don't understand it. I don't understand why things happening the way they're happening here. Who makes decisions? What the goals are? Who is in charge? What people think? Why people act the way they act? Everything is unknown, and it's not Russia. Okay, we're gonna find the new name for this country, but it's just certainly not Russia anymore. I mean, how else can I explain this? Just you wake up one day and everything is different. The way people think is different. Whew.
You said you're not feeling well at the moment, which is understandable, and that you say that you cannot recognize the country anymore, how it is today. How do you perceive the mood of the population, of the people around you these days? What is it like? Is it tense? Is it stressed out? Is it fearful? Are people angry?
Everything. It's everything. You see, Russian society, Russian people have been divided by this event. A lot of people know what's going on. They understand. They're well informed. They well traveled. They've been out to other countries, and they see through the propaganda, the news, and everything. And another part of Russian society is people who somewhat trust the government, who don't have different sources of information, who have never been outside of Russia. They simply follow the party line. Okay, they've never been to Ukraine. They don't know what's going on in Ukraine. They believe the government that says that there are Nazis in Ukraine. I spent close to 1 year in Ukraine. I know that country on the inside. I worked for a Ukrainian company. I have tons of friends there, so I'm well informed and I understand. I know what's going on. But anyway, both people who understand and who don't understand, they're both down. Those both categories. All people are down. They certainly understand that we're not having a very bright economic future up ahead, and all people have started feeling economic, financial pain. Literally, this is a really bad situation that's unfolding right now, and it affects everyone. Everyone is afraid to lose job. We don't know what's going to happen with our jobs, our industries. I'm not talking about the companies, our industries, okay? And it's just people who are informed, who understand, they're terrified. They just taking it so much more seriously than people who don't understand. The second the people who follow the party line, you support, they think it's just a war against us, economic war, okay? That we're helping Ukraine, and it's just for that, all countries, led by the West, they started hitting us, okay? But they also understand that's not going to be easy. So fear, depression, just darkness. Some people just have it more and some people have less.
You just brought the topic, the economical dimension, on the table. So the whole world is talking about the sanctions that have been imposed. Many companies, traders, banks, financial services have fled Russia in recent weeks. How and to what extent is your everyday life affected by these sanctions right now?
To a huge extent, huge. When day number one, day number two, when the Western countries announced that they're gonna retaliate by implying sanctions onto Russia, a lot of Russians laughed. They joked, "Oh, just bring it on. What are you gonna do?" There was in Russia called bravada. Okay, they were just oblivious. But then on the day three, we started feeling it. Russian debt, national debt, has gotten onto sanctions, and all of a sudden we realized that we don't have $500 billion anymore that we Russians had saved up over the years. Okay, all financial communications, financial transfers were cut off. Our bank cards just stopped working. Our financial systems such as PayPal, Samsung Pay, Google Pay, they stopped working. And it really affects all of us. I go to a store, I try to pay, and it's declined. And they say, "Well, it's not working. Do you have cash?" And everybody just ran to withdraw cash, huge lines and first days and things like that. Then at work, a lot of companies have closed already. A lot of companies have pulled out of Russia. Tens of thousands of people are without job right now. Companies like McDonald's, H&M, Apple, and they had huge presence here in Russia. No more, okay? People are out of work. What else? Prices, they have gone up. A lot of things have doubled, tripled. I do live streams every day on my channel, and this is what I tell about. Every single day I have so many things I go over, and just to name a few, prices, jobs, convenience of easiness of transactions, easiness of, just doing everyday lives, lack of basic things such as medical supplies. I wear contact lenses. I'm nearsighted. The first thing I did on the 25th in the morning, I placed an order for like 50 contacts, and now it's impossible to get them. I was lucky enough to get them. Just everything, all parts of our lives have been influenced. So the sanctions were swift and very effective.
Do you think that the sanctions have caught the Russian government unprepared?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, you should see you should have seen the faces of some of the high officials, like the head of Russian central bank. She literally said, "Wow, we expected bad, but we hadn't expected this. This is crazy." And we're talking about the head of the central bank, okay? The head of anyway, high-ranked officials, they publicly were saying that they had not expected anything like that. And the rumors are running wild that these people in the government are in panic and they simply don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. My question is, how can you make a decision to start bombing another country and not to expect something bad happen to you economically in return? I mean, you got to be either absolutely insane or incompetent, or you're gonna do it on purpose, okay, to destroy your country. Whew.
Can you comprehend why these measures have been taken by the West, or do you feel angry, disappointed about these actions that the West has taken?
Again, let's go back to me telling you that Russian society is split in two parts, right? The first part, who understand, who knows, who can think straight, and analyze things, comprehends. I totally understand why. And moreover, I could not believe when I woke up, I had news, I had like 90 messages on my messenger, and everyone was like, what's going on? Russia is bombing Ukraine. And I thought it was a joke, but 90 messages, and I jumped. It was fake news. But no, I saw Putin addressing us, me personally, saying, no, we were forced, they forced us to start bombing. And immediately I knew what was going to follow. Okay. So to me, it's not a surprise. Moreover, I think what we've had here in 3 weeks is just a mere beginning, because it's like a tidal wave. An earthquake happened in the middle of the ocean. Okay. And we felt the earthquake for just a little, a couple of minutes, a shake. But the tidal wave was born, and it's coming, and it's a huge one. And we're still living here. We go out, eat, buy food, plentiful. I went to change my oil in my car this past weekend. There's still plenty of parts. Well, not plenty, but there are parts. There's oil I can buy. But I know that tidal wave is going to be here in a couple of months, and it's going to destroy the economy completely. Okay. And a lot of people who are from the other part of the society, they don't understand. They think it's not a big deal. They think we will survive. They go, oh, McDonald's is leaving. What's the big deal? We'll eat healthier. We'll eat Russian food. Little do they understand that McDonald's is the best run company in the world, an example for other companies how to run large-scale operations, employs so many Russians, gives them jobs, pays so much taxes, and it's like a driver of the economy. Okay, same thing for other companies. They don't understand that. Okay, I don't see why. That beats me. So one part comprehends, another one doesn't. And I am not angry. I'm sad, because I know what's going to happen to me, to my family, and to everyone around me. But people who don't understand, they are getting angry. They think that there's a war, economic war against them. Okay. And they don't really understand why. We're doing a good thing. We're liberating Ukraine from the Nazis. We're demilitarizing Ukraine. Well, they want to be part of NATO. Just no way. This is bad. They're going to strike us in a couple of years. Well, you know what? If they're going to strike us in a couple of years, I would be the first one to stand up and take a gun and defend my country, but preemptively strike someone else. This is just, I don't understand. I woke up in a different country, and I don't understand the laws and the rules and the logic that countries run on. You see, sorry for being emotional. I hope I answered your question.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. Thank you. We often hear from Russia that the country, the people, the politics are misunderstood. Can this Russian, what is called operation in Russia, can this Russian operation in Ukraine, can that be misunderstood?
By the West, by you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Russia was greatly misunderstood for years before February 24th of 2022. And I think that Russia was in many ways a victim of hostile politics, hostile elections, and yes, in the past, I think it was true. But everything changed on the 24th of February. Russia has pressed the button. You just cannot do that. If you are misunderstood, if you think you're being treated unfairly, there's diplomacy, there's international court. It's just a matter of making a decision where we live in a society, international global society, where there are rules and norms and ethics and values, where we live in wild west where anything goes. That's pretty simple. What's going on in Ukraine right now is hard fact. Okay, anyone who needs to understand Russia's actions needs to go to Ukraine, to Kiev, to Kharkiv, and just stand there in the center of the city and just look around with his or her own eyes. And I think everything will be pretty understood. Speak to Ukrainians. And after a person speaks, everything will be understood. There is no gray. There's black and white here. So I think you guys understand everything correctly, okay?
Mm-hmm. What do you think are the deeper motivations, the deeper motives behind this operation in Ukraine?
At first, I thought it was something very strange, out of this world, perhaps insanity, perhaps just not feeling well, but something that cannot be explained by logic, okay? But after talking to a few people who are more on the inside than I am, after hearing some rumors here and there, bits and pieces, I kind of put a picture inside of my head that actually is based on logic. I cannot say it freely here, openly here, because I'm still in Russia,
Yeah.
and it will be not welcomed by certain sinister organizations. But let me tell you this. What I think what happened was that this decision was made based on certain information, and information turned out to be absolutely false, opposite from what was given, was opposite from what really was going on in Ukraine and the world. And the decision was made, but there was an understanding that everything would go absolutely different. There would be no blood. There would be in and out, couple days, everything would be just great, fantastic, but that information turned out to be absolutely wrong. And we are having what we're having right now. Blood, bombings, fightings, no future. I don't understand what is the goal of this operation. No one is telling us anything. No one is telling how many Russian soldiers have been killed in action, how many Ukrainians. Nothing. We know that we're there and we're doing liberation. We're doing this operation, special military operation in Ukraine.
Mm. So there's a lot of unknown, obviously, around. And you mentioned already that the population, the Russians, are split into camps in different parties, so to say. So while thousands of Russians, for instance, have risked major consequences when, including prison, for instance, when protesting for what is happening in the Ukraine, many others simply don't believe it's happening. So can you tell us a bit about what do you think, what is the distribution of each of the camps among society at the moment? So, and how divided is Russian society today?
Henrik, this is the worst question you can ask me. And I was hoping you're not going to ask me this question because it really hurts me. Even in my live streams, I try to avoid this topic because I'm so deeply ashamed. Okay. My country has divided. The Russian people has been split in two, and the majority is pro-government. It supports the operation. This is insane. I'm really sorry to say that. You know what? I'm very ashamed.
There are the media, numerous media outlets that are not subject to state control have been blocked in the recent weeks. For instance, the BBC from UK, or also Deutsche Welle from Germany. I just read Instagram was shut down this week on Monday, for instance. Before, just over 10 days ago, Twitter and Facebook has also been banned. How do you inform yourself now? I mean, what sources do you use? You watch television, you listen to the radio? What kind of information do you access?
First of all, not many independent media have been closed, medias, but all have been closed, blocked, and somehow removed from easy access. Deutsche Welle is a different story, by the way. I think I think it's removing Deutsche Welle was somewhat justified
Mm.
because it was a mirror decision. Germany removed, I think, one of the Russian channels without explanations, without reasons. Just said, "That's it, we're shutting it down." And Russians, they said, "Okay, we shut down Deutsche Welle." And it happened in December. It had nothing to do with this war or anything like that. So I well, I still watch. I think that Germans are absolutely unbiased. And I think German media is giving the truth, giving the things as they are. Okay. But in case of Deutsche Welle, I cannot blame the Russian government. Everything else I can. Everything is blocked. How do I get information? Well, first of all, I have friends in Ukraine on the ground. I have friends, many friends who have been affected. I have friends who have ran from Kiev, ran for their lives, and they are now in the Western Ukraine. I have friends who ran from Kharkiv to Prague, and about 70 people right now in Prague.
Mm.
I keep in touch. That's one way. That's the best way. A lot of my colleagues have family. They're from Odessa because our company originally was in Odessa, and I talk to them daily. They telling me how things are. I still use internet. YouTube is not blocked, although it's a last pillar, and we wait every day the bad news about Russian government blocking YouTube. And I have a channel on YouTube that would affect me somewhat greatly, but I get lots of information from YouTube. I mean, YouTube is next television. You can get anything. You just have to really filter sources and choose the good ones, the honest ones. But you can get everything. And of course, I still keep watching those medias that have been blocked. Okay, because they cannot block them completely. There are ways to actually go around the blocking of the Russian government.
The Russian parliament has now passed a law a few days ago that provides for heavy fines and even long prison sentences up to 15 years for publishing and spreading what they call false information about the Russian armed forces and what's going on in the Ukraine. What do you think of these developments, and how does it affect you or Russians in everyday life?
Henrik, it affects all of us in everyday life because we are basically with our hands inside of a guillotine, including myself. I am a subject of this law as every Russian citizen. The problem with this law is it does not define what the fakes and disinformation is. Technically, if they want to go after someone, they can go for anything. I am speaking to you right now. I'm putting myself into the danger of getting 15 years behind the bars. I have been said numerous times by my friends, by a couple attorneys who are my friends, and by my family. What are you doing? Why do you go live every day? What do you understand the risks? I do. And I'm very afraid. Every time before I go live, I'm afraid. But if I don't speak up, if I don't say things the way I see them, I wouldn't be able to live with myself, So we're all affected. There have been a couple of cases of people actually charging, according to this law, charging with crimes, with felonies. And a couple of people will probably, the most famous is Marina Ovsyannikova. She's my hero. I bow to her. She did such a courageous act. I'm sure you've heard of her.
Yeah.
She's facing up to 15 years. They gave her a fine of 30,000 rubles, roughly $300. But the speaker of a Russian parliament publicly announced yesterday that he asked and he's forcing state prosecutor's office to look further into the case and just prosecute her more. So she's facing 15 years, and everyone who shares opinion publicly about that contradicts the information about Ukraine, that liberating of Ukraine is going on, that can be explained that that's disinformation and fakes. So very much affected, very much afraid, at least I am afraid. But what can I do? For speaking to you right now, I'm facing charges, okay?
Yeah, thank you very much for taking these risks and
no, thank you for spreading the word. You know, just go out there and try to inform as many people as possible what's going on through my words.
Yeah. A few days ago, I stumbled upon or across a video that you published where you visited a local McDonald's restaurant for a last meal on the day when all its branches closed down nationwide for an indefinite period. Let's take a quick look on this.
I am here in Moscow, Russia, at McDonald's for the very last time, perhaps ever. I'm going to have the very same meal I had 25 years ago when I had McDonald's for the first time. Let's do it. McDonald's, for me, is very personal. When the company entered Soviet market back in 1990, we felt like there was a gulp of fresh air. It was so much more than just a fast food chain coming to Soviet Union. It was a little piece of Western world finally breaking through the iron wall and establishing itself right in front of our noses. Good old friend, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming to my country. Thanks for helping saving us from communism. Thanks for showing the way. We met on January 31st, 1990, and this is March 13th, 2022. It's been 32 years, and it's finally time to say goodbye. McDonald's in Russia, the freedom years. Looks like they're over.
Well, that is likely to be, I would say, a piece of contemporary history that you have captured there on video, I would say. And one can tell that you were visibly emotional in this video, nostalgic, I would say, touched. It is obvious that McDonald's to you was obviously more than food. What does McDonald's mean to you? What does this big shiny M, what does it make so meaningful to you?
You're absolutely right. McDonald's, well, not only McDonald's doesn't mean only food for me. McDonald's does not mean food at all, because I never ate at McDonald's. Just in my younghood, when I lived in the United States, I was in my early 20s, and here in Russia in the 90s. McDonald's is a symbol. It's a symbol of us getting accepted into the global village, into the international community. It's a symbol of people actually giving us hands, and shaking our hands, and finally saying, hey, listen, we're together, okay? Because in the Soviet Union before 1990, there was absolutely feeling that it's us against the world. The world is bad and us is good, okay? And well, we started kind of smelling something's fishy, you know what I mean? But it was not official. It was just rumors, talks in the kitchens and things like that. But then all of a sudden, we woke up one morning. Well, actually, it was the evening news, okay, 9 p.m. Same program that Marina Ovsyannikova jumped into. It's called The Time, okay? It's still going on from the 80s, from the 70s, still continues in Russia, okay? So it was in The Time program, and we couldn't believe our eyes. McDonald's opened in Moscow, and we saw this picture, and it was, my world was changed. I couldn't believe that something Western was established here in my country, and actually I could go and see it, I could go touch, smell, and eat it. Okay, I showed up. I was, I think, 14 years old. I showed up at school next morning, and all my friends, we just looked at each other and like, "Did you see that?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, yeah." And it was speechless. One of the guys said, "Listen, we're gonna go to Moscow and we're gonna eat McDonald's. Let's save up money for a month. We'll take jump on a cargo train. We'll just overnight. We'll go to Moscow." Said the wait is only 3 hours. It's doable. It's nothing. We were trained waiting in huge lines. Okay, so it was just the world opening up. Okay, and the video that I made a couple days ago when McDonald's was closing the doors, it's the same situation but completely opposite. The world closing down on us. Okay, that the last scene I did, okay, it was very, very, very emotional and very symbolic when McDonald's closing, how do you call it, shutter, or like this metal door, and it's sliding down slowly. And I felt like this is the Iron Curtain. And I couldn't believe it's back, okay? This is exactly the feeling that I got. So bad.
You call it in the video, you call it the freedom years between 1990 and 2022. And to stay in the McDonald's language, Russians were able to taste freedom. Where has the freedom gone now? And my question is, can't Russians stand freedom?
That's another very painful question. Can we stay freedom? Can we, well, basically, do I understand you right that you're asking if we can stand up and take the freedom back, and why we're not saying anything? Is that the question?
You can see that as a consequence.
Can we stand freedom? Can we defend freedom?
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Very painful question. I definitely consider McDonald's years were freedom years. The only freedom that I feel that we are left with right now is to leave the country. And that freedom might cease to exist in the future. All the freedoms, most of the freedoms have been taken away by the government, and the government dictates what to do. Basically, it tells us, listen to us, and you cannot have your own opinion. If you say anything that contradicts information that we give you, up to 15 years in prison. I mean, how far can you go than that? How far than that, okay? This is just to show you what's going on. Why Russians don't defend freedom? I don't know. That beats me. I personally am honest with myself, and if I would speak to myself, so to speak, I would put myself in front and I would be asking myself questions, and I would ask myself, like, are you ashamed or proud of this time with your actions? I'm not ashamed. I'm proud of myself because I do things, and I've been out. I can't even tell you where, but I've seen people getting arrested in front of me. I've seen evil face to face. I've talked to people many times. I'm not sitting on my butt and doing nothing. Every night I go live and inform the world of what's going on. But that's just me. Sometimes I feel like I'm alone in this large and greatly misunderstood country. Okay, a lot of Russian English-speaking vloggers, I know most of them because it's a very small community. None of them was doing what I was doing. Everyone was, filming videos, uploading up till 3 weeks ago. Now they're just silent, A couple of them I've spoken to, and they said, "Look, so we're afraid. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Aren't you afraid for your family?" I am very much. But you know what? I also know I lived in the Soviet Union. I know if I don't do anything, then I'd go back there, and that's not a good place to live. Okay. And I feel like a lot of people either not doing anything out of fear, out of stupidity, out of laziness, out of not caring, or they support. They support and they stand up against me and people like myself, you know, and they start acting very aggressively towards us, defending the official party line. So this is just my, you know, thoughts. Why it's happening, I don't. It's happening. Okay, they're not defending.
What is your prediction? What will happen in Russia in the next weeks ahead and months to come?
You know, Henrik, I stopped making predictions because my predictions were always based on logic and common sense, and I think these are two best friends of any normal, sane, smart person. And this thing with Ukraine did not happen overnight. Okay, it didn't just like that. I mean, it was a known fact that Russia had amassed tens, hundreds of thousands of troops along the Ukrainian border. Okay, and the Western media, the Western intel was telling about possible invasion, you know, possible bombings and the operation. And I was laughing. I was ridiculing on my YouTube channel. I was actually ridiculing people for saying things like that, because my prediction was never ever Russia would do something like that, because it would be absolutely stupid and it would be like shooting its own foot or a kneecap. Okay. And I made quite a few videos, and you know what, I'm very ashamed of those videos. I have not taken them down from my channel just to show people how foolish I was, and I keep apologizing for them. And when that happened, I could not understand. It was a complete shock. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything for 2 days. I was just trying to understand what the hell is going on. I was in Rostov-on-Don in the south of Russia at the time. And I stopped making predictions right then, because logic and common sense have stopped working in Russia. Anything goes. I understand there might be some logic that these decisions were made on, but since things did not go as planned, and it's clear to me and to any sane normal person that things are not going well there for Russian army. Okay. Right now, anything can happen. Anything. I pray every day in my streams, and I ask everyone. I have 2,500 people on the stream sometimes, and I invite everyone to pray with me that this conflict will be resolved soon and peace will descend upon both Ukraine and Russia. But I can only hope and pray. I just don't know. No predictions.
Could you think of Russia ending up as the next North Korea by all this increasing isolation from other countries, by numerous despotic law introductions of Russian government, being more autocratic? Is Russia the next North Korea then?
It's possible. It's possible. I don't know how probable that is, but it's possible. It's one of the ways how this situation can unfold.
I would be interested if you could, just an imaginary case here, if you could speak a message, and you do that on your YouTube channel, but just imagine if you could speak a message to your fellow countrymen, to the Russian citizens, what would you tell them?
Wake up.
And what would you say to the Ukrainians on the other side? If you would have the chance to address the Ukrainian citizens, what would you tell them?
I have a chance to address Ukrainian citizens every day, and I keep on saying that. And if I was in Kiev, if I was in Kharkiv in front of Ukrainian citizens, I would stand on my knees and I would simply say, forgive us, please forgive us.
And of course, the rest of the world is also looking on Russia now, what it is doing. Also here, if you would have the chance to speak to the people in the world, what would you say to them? Not Ukrainian people, but the other people.
I would say the same thing I would say to Ukrainians. Please forgive us. Henrik, I have nothing else to say.
Konstantin, thank you very, very, very much for your courage to take part in such an interview, to be open and honest about how the situation is for you, how you feel at the moment, that you let us being part of what's going on in your life and in Russian society as a whole. And yeah, I cannot thank you enough for being so brave and participating. I wish you all the best for the future, and I hope we can speak soon again, and that conditions then have shifted and things have eased off in Russia. And wish you all the best for the near future and for the next days, weeks, months to come.
Henrik, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and thank you so much for good words. I hope so too. I hope and pray. That's all I have left. I also inform, but I hope so too.